Your homeowner's insurance premium just went up 40%. You didn't file a claim, nothing changed. That's what thousands of Texas homeowners are dealing with right now. And insurance is just one part of the story. Property taxes among the highest in the country, summer utility bills that nobody warned you about, home prices that move so fast the affordability Texas promised has already disappeared in some cities. Texas still has no state income tax, but the costs it replaced that with are getting out of control. Today, we're breaking down 10 Texas cities where that's happening fastest in 2026, and at least 2 of them are cities people specifically moved to in order to escape high costs somewhere else. Starting at number 10, Corpus Christi. And the reason it's on this list has nothing to do with home prices. The median home in Corpus Christi is still sitting in the low to mid $200,000 range. By Texas standards, that looks affordable, until you factor in what it costs to insure that home. Corpus Christi sits on the Gulf Coast. Hurricane risk is not theoretical here. It is priced into every homeowner's insurance policy in the city, and those premiums have been climbing sharply. Insurers are tightening underwriting guidelines ahead of every hurricane season. Premiums on coastal properties in Corpus Christi have jumped significantly, some cases doubling over the past 3 to 4 years. For a home that looks affordable at $220,000, the true monthly cost of ownership after insurance, property taxes, and utilities tells a very different story. Flood insurance is not optional in many Corpus Christi zip codes. It is a federal requirement, and that additional premium adds hundreds of dollars per month to what the mortgage calculator told you the payment would be. The part most buyers don't calculate before they close: the list price in Corpus Christi is honest. The total cost of ownership is not what most people expect. For buyers who want Gulf Coast access without the insurance burden, Portland sits just north across the Harbor Bridge with a meaningfully different insurance risk profile. Corpus Christi's affordability is real on paper. The costs that come after closing are where that affordability starts to disappear. San Antonio is the most affordable of Texas's 5 largest metros. That reputation is still partially true. But here's what the affordability ranking doesn't show you. Healthcare costs in San Antonio run 11 to 27% above the national average depending on the category. That is not a small number. For a family without employer-sponsored coverage, individual health insurance premiums in San Antonio run $450 to $550 a month. Family plans run $1,200 to $1,600 a month. That is $14,400 to $19,200 a year in health insurance alone, on top of a mortgage, on top of property taxes in Bexar County that run consistently above state averages, on top of homeowners insurance that has been climbing sharply across the entire state. The part that doesn't get talked about in San Antonio's affordability story: the city ranks as the most affordable major Texas metro for housing. It does not rank as the most affordable for the total cost of living once healthcare is properly factored in. A single adult needs $83,242 a year to live comfortably in San Antonio, according to SmartAsset's 2026 analysis. That number includes healthcare. And for buyers who didn't include healthcare in their relocation budget, San Antonio's affordability story has a chapter they weren't expecting. Fort Worth built its reputation as the city that held when Dallas corrected. Stable, reliable, the responsible choice in North Texas. That reputation is accurate, but the costs behind that stability are rising faster than the reputation suggests. The typical home in Fort Worth sits around $300,000 to $320,000. Property taxes in Tarrant County add significantly to the true cost of ownership, and homeowners insurance in North Texas has been repricing sharply upward. Hailstorms are not a rare event in the DFW corridor. They are a seasonal reality, and insurers are pricing that reality into every renewal notice across Tarrant County. Premiums that were $1,800 2 years ago are now $2,400 to $3,000 on comparable homes, with no claims filed, with no changes to the property. Just the market repricing the risk of owning a home in a hail corridor, the part most people moving to Fort Worth don't calculate. The stability that makes Fort Worth attractive also makes it expensive to insure. The same weather patterns that affect Dallas affect Fort Worth, and the insurance market treats them the same way. On a $300,000 home in Fort Worth, month property taxes, plus insurance, plus utilities can add $1,500 to $1,800 per month to what your mortgage calculator showed you. That's the number that's getting out of control, not the list price, the true cost of ownership after you've already moved in. Georgetown has been one of the fastest growing cities in the entire United States for several consecutive years. And that growth is doing something to its cost structure that most people arriving from outside don't see coming. The median home in Georgetown has been climbing steadily as Austin's spillover demand absorbed the city's inventory. But it's not just home prices. It's the infrastructure cost of being the fastest growing city in America. New developments in Georgetown carry municipal utility district fees, MUD fees, that add to monthly costs in ways that don't show up in the base home price. These fees fund the water, sewer, and road infrastructure that has to be built to keep up with the growth. They can add $100 to $300 per month to a homeowner's true cost of living, on top of already elevated Williamson County property taxes, on top of insurance premiums that have been climbing across the entire Austin metro corridor, on top of summer utility bills in a city where temperatures regularly exceed 100 degrees for weeks at a time. Georgetown looks like the affordable Austin alternative on a listing site. The total monthly cost of ownership after MUD fees, taxes, insurance, and utilities tells a more complicated story, the part most buyers don't discover until after closing. The cost of living in the fastest growing city in America is rising as fast as the population, and the two are not moving independently. Leander sits just northwest of Austin and has been absorbing Austin's spillover demand for years. The appeal is straightforward: Austin proximity without Austin pricing. Access to the Metro rail line that runs directly into downtown Austin. Master-planned communities with strong schools. But Leander's cost structure has been compounding in ways that are starting to close the gap between Leander and the Austin market it was supposed to be the alternative to. The median home in Leander has climbed significantly as demand absorbed available inventory. Williamson County property taxes run among the higher rates in the state. HOA fees in Leander's master-planned communities add monthly costs that don't appear in the purchase price. And the Metro rail access that makes Leander attractive, the monthly pass cost, the parking fees at the station, the time cost of a commute that depends on a train schedule, adds up differently than buyers from outside the market expect. Insurance premiums across the Austin corridor have been rising in line with the rest of Texas, and Leander's rapid growth has created infrastructure pressure that shows up in utility costs and service response times that residents of established communities don't experience. The honest reality about Leander in 2026, it is still more affordable than Austin proper, but it is no longer the dramatically cheaper alternative it was 3 years ago. The gap has been closing, and the total monthly cost of ownership in Leander is now high enough that buyers who chose it specifically to escape Austin's cost pressure are finding the relief smaller than they expected. If this breakdown is making you rethink the true cost of living in Texas, go ahead and subscribe. This is exactly what this channel breaks down every single week. Now, the first half of this list was about cities where specific costs are rising faster than people realize. The second half is where things really start to get out of control. These are the cities where multiple cost pressures are compounding simultaneously, where it's not one thing getting expensive, it's everything at once. Pay attention here. Houston has a triple cost problem that is getting worse in 2026, and most people who move there only discover all three after they've already committed. Problem 1, property taxes. Harris County has some of the highest effective property tax rates in the entire country. On a $320,000 home, you could be paying $7,000 to $8,000 a year in property taxes alone. That is $583 to $667 a month on top of your mortgage payment. Problem 2, homeowners insurance. Houston's weather risk is documented and severe. Hurricane Harvey alone caused $125 billion in damage. Insurers have been repricing Houston's risk profile aggressively ever since. Premiums have jumped 20 to 50% in recent years on comparable properties, with no claims, with no changes to the home. Just the market deciding that Houston is more expensive to insure than it used to be. Problem 3, flood insurance. A significant percentage of Harris County properties sit in FEMA-designated flood zones. Flood insurance is not included in standard homeowners policies. It is a separate premium. And in Houston's flood-prone corridors, that additional premium adds hundreds of dollars per month to the true cost of ownership. Property taxes plus homeowners insurance plus flood insurance in Houston can add $2,000 or more per month to what the mortgage calculator showed you. That is the number that's getting out of control. And most buyers don't see it until they're already living there. Dallas lost 51,000 affordable rental units in just 2 years. From 2021 to 2023, the city's stock of apartments renting for under $1,000 a month was cut roughly in half. That number came from a February 2026 report by the Child Poverty Action Lab. And the reason those units disappeared matters. Landlords facing sharply higher insurance bills and property taxes passed the costs to renters or sold the properties entirely. The result is a rental market where the affordable options have evaporated, not because demand pulled prices up, but because the cost of owning rental property in Dallas got so high that landlords couldn't hold the line on price. That's a different kind of cost crisis. It's not driven by desirability. It's driven by the expense of ownership passing through to everyone who lives there. The median home in Dallas proper sits around $400,000. Property taxes in Dallas County run consistently above state averages. Insurance premiums have been climbing across the entire DFW corridor. And the affordable neighborhoods in Dallas that used to absorb buyers who couldn't reach the pricier areas have been repricing upward as their landlords face the same cost pressure. The affordable version of Dallas is disappearing, not slowly, at a blistering clip, according to the people who study it most closely. The Woodlands has a cost structure that layers expenses in ways that most buyers don't fully understand until they're already living there. The median home is now pushing $500,000 to $550,000 depending on the neighborhood. That's the starting point. Then comes the HOA. The Woodlands Township Association fees run several $100s a month depending on the neighborhood and the amenities included. That's the price of access to the trails, the waterway, the pools, the programming that makes the Woodlands what it is. Then comes the insurance. Montgomery County sits in a hail and storm corridor that insurers have been repricing aggressively. Premiums on Woodlands properties have been climbing steadily. And the homes in the Woodlands, larger, higher value, more expensive to rebuild, carry higher insurance costs than comparable homes in less developed suburbs. Then comes the property tax. Montgomery County property taxes have been rising in line with the appreciation that made the Woodlands one of the most desirable addresses in the Houston metro. And then comes the flood consideration. Parts of the Woodlands sit in flood-prone areas that require additional coverage beyond standard homeowners policies. When you add mortgage, HOA, insurance, property taxes, and flood coverage together, the monthly cost of ownership in the Woodlands regularly exceeds what buyers calculated when they only looked at the home price. The Woodlands is exceptional, but the true cost of living there is higher than the listing price suggests, and that gap is getting wider. Frisco needs $109,242 for a single adult to live comfortably in 2026, $230,464 for a family of 4, and the median household income in Frisco, PAIF, at $145,444, covers only 63% of what a family needs to live there comfortably. Even Frisco's own residents are not keeping up with what Frisco costs. That's not a small problem. That's a structural mismatch between what the city costs and what the people living there earn. The median home in Frisco is now pushing past $550,000. Property taxes in Collin County run consistently above state averages. Insurance premiums across the DFW corridor have been rising sharply as the hail and severe weather risk gets repriced into every renewal notice. HOA fees in Frisco's master planned communities add monthly costs that don't appear in the purchase price. And the corporate corridor along the Dallas North Tollway, Toyota, the PGA of America, multiple Fortune 500 campuses, has created a cost environment that reflects the incomes of the people working in those buildings, not the incomes of the people who moved to Frisco for affordability. The buyers who got into Frisco at 2019 prices are fine. The buyers arriving today are discovering that the city's cost structure has moved into a category that most Texas incomes cannot comfortably sustain. And the gap between what Frisco costs and what Frisco residents earn is getting wider every year. Austin is number 1 on this list because every cost pressure on this list converges here simultaneously, and the data makes that impossible to argue with. Insurance premiums in Austin have been climbing sharply. A February 2026 report from Ritchie Insurance Agency documented renewal notices where premiums increased by 4 figures overnight on clean policies, with no claims, no changes to the property. Just the market deciding that Austin is more expensive to insure than it used to be. Property taxes in Travis County run consistently among the highest in the state. On a $540,000 home, the annual property tax bill can exceed $13,000. That is over $1,000 a month in property taxes alone, before mortgage, before insurance, before utilities. Summer utility bills in Austin are not theoretical. The city sits in a heat corridor where temperatures exceed 100 degrees for weeks at a time. Air conditioning costs in an Austin summer are a significant monthly expense that most relocation content never mentions. And then there's the market itself. The average Austin seller lost $34,064 to price drops and concessions in just the first quarter of 2026. Homes sitting on the market for 91 days on average, the highest since March 2011. Barb Cooper, a Redfin Premier agent in Austin, described buyers as very selective and able to wait without compromising because inventory is so high. That is not the description of a healthy market. That is the description of a market where costs got so far ahead of what people can actually pay that even motivated sellers are losing money. A single adult needs $98,550 to live comfortably in Austin. A family of 4 needs $229,050. The median personal income in Austin sits at $58,350. The gap between what Austin costs and what Austin residents earn is the largest of any city in Texas, and it keeps getting wider. Insurance, property taxes, utilities, a market that has priced out the people who made it what it is. Austin is still worth loving. It is just not worth what it currently costs most people to live there. So here's what this list actually tells you. The costs that are getting out of control in Texas are not always the ones that make the headlines. Everyone knows Austin is expensive. Not everyone knows that their homeowner's insurance is about to jump 40% with no warning. Not everyone knows that Georgetown's IMUD fees add $200 a month to what the listing showed. Not everyone knows that Houston's triple cost problem, property taxes, homeowner's insurance, flood insurance, can add $2,000 a month to what the mortgage calculator told them. Not everyone knows that Dallas lost 51,000 affordable rental units in 2 years because landlords couldn't absorb their own rising costs. Corpus Christi looks affordable until Coastal Insurance reprices the entire calculation. San Antonio looks affordable until healthcare costs run 27% above the national average. Fort Worth looks stable until the Hale Corridor insurance market sends the renewal notice. Leander and Georgetown look like Austin alternatives until the MUD fees, HOA costs, and Williamson County property taxes stack up. The Woodlands looks like a lifestyle investment until the monthly total of mortgage, HOA, insurance, and taxes lands in your bank account. Frisco looks aspirational until the $109,000 comfortable living threshold makes clear that even high earners are running a deficit. And Austin, where insurance is rising, property taxes exceed $1,000 a month, and sellers are losing $34,000 in concessions, is the clearest example of a city where costs have gotten out of control in every direction at once. Texas is still one of the best states in the country to build a life, but the hidden costs that don't make the relocation brochure are real, and knowing what they are before you commit is the difference between a smart decision and an expensive surprise. If you want to know which Texas cities still deliver on the affordability promise, that breakdown is coming. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it.